Hello and welcome to Protect Ukraine Now YouTube channel. My name is Alec,
My name is Oleg.
and today we're going to talk about the latest PDA package with military assistance for Ukraine. This package includes a lot of very important munitions that Ukraine desperately needs right now. The first line item is RIM-7 and AIM-9M missiles for air defense. Uh, Oleg, can you tell us a little bit more about these missiles?
Yes, so RIM-7 is the naval version of Sparrow missile, long-lasting missile that was invented in 1950s. IM-9M is the short-range missile, also air-to-air. RIM-7 is a naval missile. It was invented for air-to-air combat, and then it was adopted for naval warfare. AIM-9M was original air-to-air missile that was adopted for air defense, ground air defense. The next one is Stinger. It's Manpad. This is the ground-to-air missile. All three missiles are short range. None of them is exceeding about 10 kilometers, and all of them are for shooting down the cruise missiles and drones uh, that attack Ukraine.
Awesome. And looks like the next line item is 50 caliber rounds to also counter unmanned aircrafts. And so
Yeah,
so have a lot of munitions to shoot down things that fly at Ukrainian cities.
yes, Ukraine reported very high efficiency of those maneuvering anti-air defense mobile troops that armed with the small manpads like Stinger and machine guns like 50 cal, like this M2 Browning, for example.
Great. And looks like the next line item are ammunition for HIMARSs. Looks like they could be the ATACMS everyone was waiting for.
Yes, it could be ATACMS, it could be GMLRS rounds or rockets, and it could be both.
Awesome. So very important for the front line. The next line item is 155 millimeter artillery rounds. So very much needed and awaited for artillery shells, right?
Yes, and I must add that it is high explosive and dual purpose improved conventional munitions. So this is cluster munitions. It is highly effective when DPICM round is as effective as 10 high explosive rounds, and it's very effective against assaulting Russian troops in the open field.
Awesome, great. And then 105 millimeters artillery rounds.
Those are smaller caliber and they are very highly needed, probably as much needed as 155, if not more. Uh, Despite their smaller caliber, the blast from the howitzer is not as visible as 155. 155 millimeter artillery shot blast is visible from very far distance, and that is how Russians know where this artillery is located, and they either shot their own artillery or sometimes they can use even rockets or missiles. Sometimes they just lob their glide bombs to artillery positions of Ukraine armed forces. Sometimes they use loitering munitions like Lancet.
Mhm.
105 is hard to spot, and that is why the survivability of the crew of this howitzer is much higher than survivability of 155 millimeter howitzers.
Okay, so they're more of a concealed weapon in a way. Great.
Not concealed, but if camouflaged properly, It can survive even if it's attacked by loitering munition, because crew can just spot that they are being under attack and just just spread around and just jump to the trench
Mhm.
and save their lives.
All right, great. So 60 mm mortar rounds looks like very important, and in many cases could be more useful than even 155 mm artillery shells.
I wouldn't agree to that. It's not as effective, but it's definitely that if there's an attack on position from the infantry units, then 60 mm mortar can fire up to 3 kilometers and reach the infantry at with a higher fire rate, and that produces the burst of those mortar rounds, which attacks infantry much cheaper than with 155 mm artillery.
Okay, so they're
They,
cheaper and they're probably more mobile. They're probably easier to move around.
it's very hard to spot them. They are much harder to hit by enemy. There is nothing to essentially to destroy the 60 mm mortar. Even in case of direct hit by a drone, it can be repaired using some parts, and good luck trying to hit it with artillery.
Awesome. Bradley infantry fighting vehicles are next, and they're probably very much awaited in Ukraine.
Absolutely. Bradley recognized as very effective weapon in Ukraine. It is a cement that was helping 47th Brigade for a long time, probably almost a year, since they joined the battle in June 2023. And it was instrumental to help uh, hold on positions in Avdiivka.
Awesome. And the next line item are mine resistant ambush protected vehicles, also known as MRAPs. And they are transports, but they probably very much needed too.
It's better than nothing. I would say if Ukraine was able to choose, probably Ukraine would choose Bradleys. But because we have several thousand of MRAPs that are not needed for the US armed forces, why not giving them to Ukraine? And I guess some of them go to Ukraine just because we don't need them. And Ukraine obviously is thankful for that because they lack everything. After 2 years of war, there's so many losses and so many armor is lost that anything helps. These MRAPs are protected enough to just maybe withstand some machine gun fire, but not drones, not artillery, not bombs.
Mhm,
Mines, yes, it can survive one mine, but not the MRAP, but the crew inside can survive one mine.
mhm.
But in general, that's not a battlefield uh, vehicle.
Right.
It's like an armored taxi, if you will.
Right. And another transport there in the list are Humvees. They're probably even less so protected, but it still very important. We need to be able to move around, right?
Humvees are actually better in some sense. So AMRAPs are bulky, very well visible, and not as good off-road capabilities, especially during the spring, winter, and autumn months. But when the ground, Humvee has much better mobility. It has armor as well. It cannot withstand a drone attack, I mean direct hit, but it can if it's a close call,
All right.
if it's near miss.
Okay, good to know that they're also very useful and important. Uh, awesome. And then looks like logistics support vehicles also on the list, and tactical vehicles to tow and haul equipment. Sure, very important. Then the next line item, maybe we want to touch a little about tube launch optically tracked wire guided tow missiles.
Yeah, tow missiles is a missile that is, first of all, it's used in the Bradleys, but Ukrainian Bradleys very seldom use tow missiles because to use a tow missile, Bradley must completely stop. And stopping in the battlefield means that you're exposing yourself to all the risks from artillery to another ATGMs or anti-tank guided missiles, etc. So that's why Bradleys less often use them, but they can. Also, tow missiles are used from the ground, from tow launchers, and they have like I would say limited range, about 3.7 kilometers. The newest tow missiles have. It's not too long distance, but the quantity is important. Ukraine has their own version of anti-tank guided missiles capable of hitting 5.2 kilometers, but there's not enough of them.
Yeah,
So
and as far as quantity is concerned, we should say that this report doesn't have the numbers of equipment delivered to Ukraine. We only have the actual names, but we don't know how many. Yeah, we only have the names of their equipment delivered, but not the quantities. The next line item is Javelin and 84 anti-armor systems.
Javelin is very well known in Ukraine. It was very efficient, very effective and efficient against Russian tanks in the beginning of the war. Since then, Russian did some improvements to their tanks to reduce their heat signature. Now it's not as effective. Also, they tried to use their tanks during the time when the ambient temperature and the tank temperature is more or less compared. In that case, Javelin is ineffective. But in many cases, when the tank is making a long march, it still gets hot and it can be hit in that case. 84 is another it's like a short range anti-tank system, and it's very well used in Ukraine as well when the tank gets closer.
Awesome. And then precision aerial munitions, airfield support equipment, anti-armor mines. Looks like a lot of again smaller but still very important munitions, right?
Uh, it's hard to tell. The way how it's written, it could be anything. For example, the airfield support equipment could be something in preparation for F-16 fighter jets
Mhm.
that Ukraine is expecting hopefully this year. Uh, it could be that. Precision aerial munition, again, it could be something like Ukraine already had all this time, like JDAM ER. It could be something else. It's hard to say because it doesn't specify what that is. Anti-armor mines, they are very useful when uh, against the Russian attacks when Russians are advancing down the road. It's good to prepare with mines. Ukraine has a lack of mines because it signed a convention against anti-personnel mines, and currently they don't have a huge supply of mines. They destroyed a lot of the mines that were uh, a legacy of Soviet Union, and anything that is a mine helps.
Understood. So a very overall a very nice package. Maybe in a few minutes you can mention things that were not included on the list, but very important, something that perhaps we need to be asking our members of the Congress to deliver as soon as possible in the next package.
Yes, so first and foremost, what is missing in this package is the Patriot batteries. Ukraine needs Patriot Pack 2 batteries and Patriot Pack 3 batteries. Patriot Pack 2 is an older ones that were retired in the US about 20 years ago, and we surely have some of these batteries left, at least a lot of components because they are not using Pack 3 batteries. And Ukraine needs every piece of equipment that has Patriot title on it because it helps Ukraine to protect their front lines from glide bombs attacks from the bombers. Patriot with the long-range missile, Patriot Pack 2 GEM, is the missile that can hit 160 kilometers, the target 160 kilometers away, and that allows intercepting Russian bombers that carry glide bombs. And that's what unfortunately is missing here. With all the good things like Ream 7, AIM-9M, and Stinger, those are short-range air defense systems. They are not capable to stop bombers carrying glide bombs. And currently, Ukraine is being pounded by 100 bombs daily. 100 bombs that some of them are as heavy as 6,000 pounds. You can imagine what the effects on the infantry are if they are attacked by something, if not a direct hit, but maybe half a mile from you when 6,000 pounds of explosive uh, goes off. Thousands of people are having concussions. Some people are having concussions even though they are as close as half a mile to the explosion. And Ukraine experienced this 100 explosions a day, 100 glide bombs a day.
Yeah, definitely a big problem, and we need to be talking to our Congress people to help with air defense. That's very critical at the moment. And at Protect Ukraine now, we are working on advocacy. We ask for all of our listeners to help us with that. If you live in the United States, you can pick up a phone, call your senators and your representatives, and ask them for help Ukraine needs the most. And we'll be happy to provide you with a list of equipment most needed at the moment. And we'll be sharing that list shortly. So if you're interested in advocating for Ukraine, please leave us a comment under this video or send email to contact@protectukrainenow.org, and we'll tell you more about how to advocate for weapons for Ukraine.
Yeah, just call your congressperson and ask them to support Ukraine and to reach out to President Biden administration and ask them to immediately send to Ukraine Patriot batteries and Patriot missiles.
Great. Well, and this is it in this package. So we'll be wrapping up, and thank you for listening, and talk to you soon.
Bye bye.